Welcome everyone to the 11th round of the Unlimited Racing 2D Championship. Today we find ourselves here at Monza. However, before we get into the weekend, let's look at the driver standings. It's so close between the top four, 8 points only separating Max Verstappen, who's currently leading the championship, and George Russell. Verstappen, that's the first time anyone actually has led the driver championship all season round, except Lewis Hamilton. However, things can change. Let's get into the weekend. Qualifying first. My bet, I have to say, I'm going for Verstappen. Verstappen for pole. He's just been so quick of late. However, Charles Leclerc winning the Grand Prix last time out in, around Le Mans. But because Monza is such a high-speed circuit, really, the cars with better straight line speed, better acceleration, they're gonna prevail. Really good qualifying from Daniel Ricciardo. However, Max Verstappen takes pole position around the legendary circuit of Monza. Lewis Hamilton fairly close to him in second, Ricciardo third, Leclerc fourth, Mick Schumacher. Wow, the Williams really do like the circuit. Jack Aitken, keeping his really good run of form going. However, a few surprises. Lando Norris and George Russell being so far off the pace. Especially George Russell, if he really wants to, remain in this title fight, he can't be having these type of weekends, these poor qualifyings. Any surprises here in the second half? Yes, Valtteri Bottas qualified last. That's a massive surprise. Also, Lance Stroll getting P19. Guan Yu Zhou, he's done a really good job to get P15. And Alfa Romeo of Yuri Vips, P13. Let's see what the race can offer. The race, anyways, conditions not wet yet. Everyone going for the wet tires as we enter the Rettifilia at turn 1, turn 2. Lewis Hamilton manages to get the move done on Max Verstappen. However, Verstappen's coming back at Curva Grande. Now into the second chicane. Verstappen and Leclerc at home, at Ferrari's home, manages to get the lead. The rain begins to come down now as Verstappen going into Ascari chicane takes the lead. Lewis Hamilton back into second place. George Russell and Lando Norris making a few positions. Russell now P6. Norris P8. Alonso also, he started P12, now P9. Valtteri Bottas started last, now P16 for him. So, a few drivers, making some ground up. Daniel Ricciardo though, P3 so far. If you were to tell me Daniel Ricciardo P3, P4 or something. Well, where did he qualify? P4 I think. And Valtteri Bottas last, I wouldn't have believed you. However, Daniel Ricciardo is actually managing to, stick with the front runners. I think he may even go for a move on Lewis Hamilton down the inside. Ricciardo goes, but goes slightly wide. Now Leclerc's all over him. Leclerc manages to get P3, but Ricciardo's gonna make it stick. Yes, he does. And wants P2. Gets that at the second Lesmo. As we see here, Charles Leclerc getting Lewis Hamilton, but Hamilton's not going to give up there, is he? Yes, he does slightly back off. He backs off a little. Whilst this is all happening, Max Verstappen, he's just enjoying his lead. Giovinazzi now under a lot of threat from Russell, but he knows there's no point of, defending Russell. Russell's in a faster car. And for Giovinazzi to fight Russell, it just wastes time. However, Giovinazzi, though, we know that he is a fighter, and he manages to get P5 back, Didn't lose, any real time. But anyways, up to the front, Leclerc and Ricciardo. Ricciardo's in. What tire is Daniel Ricciardo gonna go on? Back onto the wets. It looks like the track has stopped raining. This is an interesting move from Red Bull. If I were in their shoes, I would have just kept everything safe. P3, P4, if we just follow everyone else, simple, but Ricciardo's got some tremendous pace on these new, fresh wets. Obviously, the track is going to stay damp. On the mini-map, it does look like, the front runners are all pitting. As I say that, Hamilton's in. And Giovinazzi. Now, what tyres are they going to go on? Schumacher also. Hamilton on the wets. I'm beginning to think maybe Red Bull and Ricciardo taking the risk. It's managed to pay off because now they're going to be rapid. It's going to catch, right back up to Charles Leclerc. For Verstappen and Leclerc, this is an awkward situation because the track is getting drier. If they pit, do they go on the dry tyres so that they don't have to pit again or stay on the wets? Well, all will be said in a few moments' time. They are back on the wets. And Daniel Ricciardo now has the lead of the race. Who would have thought? However, saying that, the track is drying. I wonder if anyone's going to pit for the dry tyres. Yes. George Russell, Lando Norris, Yuki Tsunoda, Jack Aitken, all in for the dries. Now Ricciardo's in a situation where he is able to pit for the dry tyres. But it's going to stay out. He has no more hours to fight Verstappen. I think this lap, they will be pitting. But Ricciardo's managed to get a massive jump. Lewis Hamilton too as well in the background's managed to get P3. Ricciardo's going to fight his former teammate Max Verstappen through the first Lesmo, through the second Lesmo. But Verstappen forces him wide. Really good battling from the two. Going into Parabonica, can anything happen? No. As now all of the front runners are in. They're going to be all on the dry tyres. However, rain is forecasted to return. Rain is coming back. So, the front runners, they've just pitted for wets again. So all the drivers who pitted for the dry tyres, they're in some trouble. Mick Schumacher, though, gaining a few positions. Even managing to undercut his teammate in a way. Hamilton round the outside. Is he going to make it stick through the Parabolica? Yes, he is. That's P2 for Lewis Hamilton. But Ricciardo's going to fight him back. As Hamilton and Ricciardo laps Lance Stroll. Hamilton keeps P2. He needs a good result here. But Max Verstappen, if he does go on and win this Grand Prix, it will be a massive, that will hurt Hamilton massively. Ricciardo, though, now approaching his teammate Valtteri Bottas. You already know Bottas playing the number 2 driver. He will, hopefully, let his teammate through. Not his former teammate, Lewis Hamilton, his current teammate, Daniel Ricciardo. As Hamilton goes wide and Ricciardo gets P2. But we're on lap 11 already. This race has just flown by. We've just been keeping our eyes, mostly on Daniel Ricciardo. But Ricciardo goes slightly wide. Hamilton round the outside. Manages to get the move done. Both drivers on similar amount of errs. Will Yuri Vips interfere with Hamilton? No, he won't. The track is beginning to dry now. The rain has passed. Max Verstappen, though, just in a league of his own. Around the outside, Latifi laps him. Alonso, though, what happened there? Just getting bogged down a little. I think now the front runners will begin to pit for the dry tyres. Norris and Russell pit. George Russell's been so consistent all season long, he's been really unlucky not to have any more race victories. However, this one is a massive anomaly in the charts. Unless if you can do anything, get anything out of this. Now Charles Leclerc, though, P3. He's managed to jump Daniel Ricciardo in the pits. Antonio Giovinazzi, where's he running? P5? P5, yeah. Really good drive from him. And he has, you know, many back markers. Until George Russell catches up and Mick Schumacher. Lando Norris, though, is going to want to take that P7 away from Mick Schumacher. Norris versus Schumacher. Norris round the outside. But Schumacher hangs in. He hangs in. Norris is going to try down the inside. Norris goes slightly wide. Great battling from the Williams and the McLaren. This is the closest battle on track. As Max Verstappen now begins the final lap. Schwartzman gets out of the way for Schumacher, but not necessarily for Lando Norris. And whilst this is all happening, George Russell's actually losing time. However, Max Verstappen now, he manages to win the Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton P2. Third place being Charles Leclerc. Fourth, Daniel Ricciardo. Fifth, Antonio Giovinazzi. What a drive from him. Sixth, George Russell. Seventh, Mick Schumacher. Eighth, Lando Norris. He's just given up on the fight. And everyone else, Lando Norris down, have been lapped. Technically. Because now, I mean, obviously Verstappen's finished the race. What a Grand Prix that was, though. 7 seconds, 8 seconds nearly. The gap between Hamilton and Verstappen, that's the biggest gap of the season, I think. Complete domination around Monza. And that increases his championship lead. Charles Leclerc P3, Daniel Ricciardo P4. Really good weekend from him, although was a podium possible? No one will know. Antonio Giovinazzi P5 with George Russell P6. Russell, this is a massive anomaly, as I said. However, for Williams, this is great. I'm so happy for them, you know. McLaren, this has not been the best weekend for them, with Lando getting P8, Gasly and Tsunoda rounding off the top 10. Ocon just missing out. Alonso, he struggled that race. Latifi P13, Jack Aitken after a really good quali couldn't really produce that type of pace in the race. Guanyu Zhou P15, Vips P16, Bottas P17, De Vries P18. Again, a weak weekend from De Vries and Stroll and Bottas actually, with Robert Schwartzman P20. Drivers wise, it looks like this. That gap now between first and fourth, it was 8 points. Now between first and second, it's 8 points. So this is massive in Verstappen's season. With how many races to go? I think three races to go, if I'm not wrong. Leclerc fourth, fifth, George Russell. Could that be his title hopes? You know, have they just vanished? After a poor weekend this weekend, Norris, he's practically been fifth all season long. Not fast enough to be with the top guys, but too fast to be with the rest of the grid. Basically best of the rest. Daniel Ricciardo, though, I think P6 is his. 7th and 8th, though. P7 and P8. It's interesting between the two Williams. Alonso P9, Gasly P10, P11, P12, both Haas drivers. So close to each other. Lance Stroll P13, Esteban Ocon P14, Bottas P15. He's just falling now. Few poor weekends for Valtteri. Latifi P16, both Alfa Romeos. They've managed to pick themselves up from last place. You know, what a great job the team manager's been doing. Pismo Sam. And then Guanyu Zhou P19 and Robert Schwartzman P20. Here's how the Constructors' Championship looks like. Now, AlphaTauri, that gap is getting much bigger. You know. McLaren P3. I mean, it's still possible for them to catch up to Renault. However, I think if I'm McLaren, we just wanna, you know, they just wanna keep P3. P4 though, you know, a Racing Point, because of Verstappen's madness in the championship, is carrying Racing Point this high. Ferrari, they started so well, but Schwartzman, he's just not managed to develop, you know, to the car, grow to the car. And Leclerc in the midfield, in the middle of the season especially, he just could not string results. Red Bull P6, courtesy of Daniel Ricciardo doing a madness. Williams P7, Haas P8, P9 Mercedes-Benz. That's going to be a really close fight actually, between Haas and Mercedes-Benz, or P8 and P9, and Alfa Romeo P10. Thank you for joining us for the 11th round of the season. Next time we meet again will be at Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix. 3 races to go. It's so tight in the championship. There can only be one winner though. See you next time in Japan.